Welcome to week 5 of Brand and Build Institute. And you back with P Lotus, and I'm here to go through these concepts. All right, so we got brand identity and positioning. That's what we're working on today. That's what we're talking about today. Brand identity and positioning. All right, so how do you identify your brand? How do people identify your brand? And how do you position your brand? Okay, so when you're thinking about your brand, let's first talk about what is a brand. That's the first thing. What is your brand? And brand equals perception. It's a perception. So perception is basically the feeling that people get when they think about you. What pops up in people's mind when they think about you and your brand. It's important that you know what the perception is. You have to know what the perception that people have of you is. What perception do they have of your brand when they think of you? So it's not just a logo. It's not just what colors you choose. It's about the overall reputation that you have over time. What does your brand represent when people see it? When people see your brand or they hear about your brand, what are the things that come to their mind? And how do you control what comes to someone's mind when they think about you? You control that with your messaging, with the way you interact with the world, the way you communicate. So that goes into personal brand versus company brand. So I want you to look at it in two different ways. Look at branding from two different perspectives. In one perspective, you have your personal brand. That's who you are as a person. Your personal brand, it speaks on your story. You build your personal brand by telling your story. So your personal brand is that's what's established before the company brand. So personal brand comes first. Personal brand comes before company brand. Because you're figuring out your personal brand before you even start your company. You need to understand what your personal brand is before you even decide what type of company to start. Your personal brand is what is going to dictate your company brand. So your personal brand is what comes before that. So it influences your company brand. So when you build your personal brand, that's based off of your identity, the vision you have, and your mindset. Those things are what come together to form your personal brand. Like, what do you believe in? What do you stand for as a person? What are your values? What do people think of when they think of you? And your company brand, that's bigger than you. Your company brand, that's a brand that you create outside of yourself that can grow larger than yourself. And the easiest way to build a brand outside of yourself is by starting with a strong personal brand. That's a easy way to build a company brand versus just being someone who has no reputation, someone that no one knows, someone who has no trust and trying to build a company brand. But if you have a personal brand established already, it makes it easier for you to build your company brand. Company brand is all about growth. Personal brand is more about expertise, more about being specific, being an expert in a specific field. But company brand, that's larger than you. So basically, we're going to show you how to translate your personal brand into a company brand. But for what we're doing now, you want to be able to build your personal brand to the point to where you can build a community around your personal brand. So the way you build a community is authority positioning. So you know where you stand with your brand, you know what perception that you've established over time because branding is over time. You can't substitute the time that it takes to establish a perception. And it takes a long time to build a good reputation, but it's so easy to ruin it. So that's why your brand is such a valuable thing and it needs to be protected and it needs to be controlled. You need to control what the perception of your brand is. Authority positioning. Once you have your brand established and you know what perception is that you're looking for, a way to control the perception people have of your brand is by establishing authority. Establish authority in your niche. Once you've decided your niche, your target audience, now you establish authority. And how do you position yourself as authority? You got to think about three different things. If you are an authority in your industry, in your field, in your genre, in your product, if you are an authority, then you need to be able to understand who you serve. You need to be able to understand and explain exactly who you serve, like down to the T. Like, what do they look like? What do they eat for breakfast? Where do they live? How old are they? How much money do they make? I mean, you need to have who you serve down to a science. Another thing, if you are an authority, you need to be able to explain what transformation you can deliver, or what transformation does your product or service deliver, or what transformation does your brand deliver to the people that you serve. And also, I need you to be able to explain to me, if you're an authority in your industry, I need you to be able to explain to me, how is your approach unique? So that's the how is your approach unique? There's a lot of different ways that your approach could be unique, and there's a lot of different approaches we could be talking about. But you got to decide what is different about your approach. What is your competitive advantage? What do you do different than the other people out here that seem to be doing the same thing you're doing? Because it might seem like they're doing the same thing you're doing, but there has to be something about your approach that makes you the authority. And you have to identify that thing and be able to explain it, be able to pinpoint it, because that's your strength. When you can identify what it is about you that makes you different, that is literally your competitive advantage. So you need to know that. So take time to figure out exactly what your approach is and what makes it unique, what makes it different, what transformation it is that you or your service product that it provides, what transformation does your brand represent, and who do you serve? Like, who's your target customer? What do they look like? What do they talk like? Where do they shop? Where do they spend their time? Where do they spend free time? You need to know them. And lastly, you need to complete the assignment. So this should be able to help you complete the assignment. But if you have any questions as you're working on it, just let me know and I can help you get through it. And make sure you come on the live stream, because on a live stream, we will be going over these questions and helping you get everything figured out. But in the meantime, just go on ahead and work on it, think this stuff through, and do your own research. That way, you can actually soak this stuff in because it's unique for you and your brand. So take that time to think about your brand identity and your positioning. What makes you the expert? What makes you different? And that's your brand identity. Your identity as a brand is what makes your brand stand out. What story is your brand telling? Or what story do people think of when they think of your brand? You need to be able to control that whole narrative. You need to get in control of that whole narrative. And we do dive deeper into this, and there's also going to be more videos in the future where I go more into brand identity. But for the purposes of the assignment and to be able to complete your business plan and launch your brand, these concepts are like the core concepts that you need to understand when it comes to brand identity and positioning. So that's it for what I have for week 5. And if you have any questions, just let me know. But make sure you focus on this, and you should be able to know what your brand identity is and to be able to explain your authority positioning.